Hi, guys. Welcome back to Wynter Tai Chats. Our guest this time on Chats is a master teacher of the Yama System. He's been studying martial arts since his early childhood, and together with a background in the meditative arts, he aims to spread a holistic view of the arts through mental, spiritual, and physical well being. Please welcome Matt Lugas. How are you doing, sir?
Great, man. How are you?
I'm doing absolutely fine. Thank you very much for a little bit taking a little time out of your day to speak with me about the Yama system and everything and how you got into the market.
It's my pleasure, man. I love sharing it. Yeah.
All right, that's great. That's great. So, not to take up too much of your time, let's go straight into the interview, Matt. How do you start the martial arts?
So I was a little kid, 4 or 5 years old, and I just always wanted to be strong. And you grow up watching Kung Fu theater and all that stuff, and my dad was a special forces guy, and so out of that, I was always getting hurt, and just one day he's like, look, if you want to do martial arts, you got to learn right. So he got me into judo because you have to learn how to fall. He's like, it's a non-negotiable. As a kid, you have to learn how to fall. And then once I learned that, I really got into it, Junior Olympics and all that other stuff. And I just sort of slowly started evolving to a lot of the kind of deficiencies I had and the pain that I was in and the back issues that I was kind of grew up having. I met a guy that started taking me through more of the healing arts at a pretty young age because I had to start remedying some deficiencies, not handicaps or anything, but just I wanted to be strong. And he told me, he's like, if you keep doing this, you're gonna be strong when you're older. You're not that strong right now, but you will be strong when you're older. And I met that guy, I think in the 4th grade, and changed my life. He was kind of a bone setter, doctor, badass, also a special forces guy. I had a privilege of being around some more realistic people. So we had the tournament stuff, and then we had the guys that were actually using it in life in other ways than just, tournaments and stuff like that. Yeah. So I love training, and so that's how I got started technically, and then I just kind of kept it going.
All right, so you got started with the judo and more realistic kind of training.
Yeah, judo still to this day is my favorite. I feel that the reason why I like judo the most is because if footwork is key, right? If you're supposed to, technically to me, all martial arts is a way to kind of make conscious decisions under stress. And a lot of times so the better you can access stress, the better you're gonna be able to integrate your martial arts or anything, right? Because you don't know anything until you can do it under stress, like straight up, right? And so judo to me was, I can hang on to you and I can use almost like boxing footwork, but also circular footwork while under like legitimate pressure. It wasn't quite as heavy and violent as wrestling. Like I've done some wrestling and catch wrestling and stuff like that. But judo to me it's the between, we're striking, we tussle, but I keep that footwork of a boxer and a little bit lighter on my feet. And so I kind of liked that because I'm not taking so much damage, right? Striking stuff, it hurts a little bit more. Wrestling is so aggressive, and I liked it for more real life. And it really helped out through the rest of my career in life. Yeah, so judo, still to this day, even at the Silk and Steel event that I taught with David Way and Sheldon and all those guys, I saw everyone and they were going through all this self-defense, and I looked at them and I'm like, everyone goes through self-defense of all these scenarios that are probably never gonna happen, but no one's teaching anyone how to fall. It's the only martial art move we all have to know. There's only one move every human being has used, and that's falling. So I'm really grateful that I learned how to fall right out of the gate. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So judo has been the martial art from childhood till now. And learning to break fall, as you say, is the most important thing.
Yeah, it's just learning how to, and the difference, so it's like you have falling on a mat and then you have falling on the street in the ground. You don't really want to slap the cement, so there's other ways that you fall. So I was lucky to also work with the military guys and other people that were falling on different surfaces. And and I was a stunt performer, and so it's like I've carried this work through my entire life up until, I just kind of recently stopped doing that type of stuff. But, whether you're riding a bike or anything, it's going to happen. And then later I got more into the holistic stuff of, it's a trajectory. Martial arts tells a trajectory, right? Poison becomes medicine, right? So first you learn the poison, you're hurting yourself, and then you learn how to actually hurt others, and then you learn how to communicate better, and then one day you learn how to heal people with your presence. That's like technically the story of a martial artist. So I'm really grateful that I just started off like beating the crap out of myself, constantly in the emergency room, and, just biting off more than I can chew. I mean, we were in, mini military kid, and my dad worked in radio. So we were just always in the news school. I think it was like 10 or 13 elementary schools or something like that. Yeah, we got around.
Okay. And I noticed that you also said that you worked in stunt. Okay, so
Yeah.
I can only imagine being around in the stunt industry. You've had so many experiences with a plethora of other martial arts as well, right? So
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, you have to learn. I mean, and I've studied Bagua and different forms of Kung Fu, Choi Li Fut, went off, studied some Filipino martial arts. And my favorite has always been the Persian martial arts, and the kind of the between where martial arts came from India. They went through kind of the Silk Road. We just call it the Silk Road work, right? And then they went over into China. But if you look at the stuff that was going on in Persia, like the heavy club swinging and all the shield work, and then like they call the Zurkhaneh the House of Strength and all this stuff. I've been teaching that stuff for so long. And it's funny because like now it's starting to catch on, like with maces and club swinging and things like that. But I've been doing that stuff since I was a child, and it's cool to watch people finally interested in it, because I get sick of defending it, where they wonder why these people that do this work are so much more agile. Their fascia is strong, their joints are open, they're agile and powerful, right? Yoga under extreme load and pressure is next level, and that's kind of what I've always taught. And then people would question it, but then they can't keep up with those guys, like the Iranian wrestlers and then the old Persian warriors. Next level stuff. I love it. And for me, it just really, really speaks to me, because it's full range of motion, healthy, it's so powerful. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now this is a very good segue, because I do have to ask this question. So,
Okay.
I've been, I don't want to sound like a stalker or anything, but I've gone around. I looked a little bit on your social media as well, and I see a lot of the posts. Like, you have some really nice kicks. I do have to say that. Right? But someone who says that I'm a lifelong judo practitioner, you have beautiful kicks. So I'm just making connections. So I see the connection of the flexibility and everything through the strength training, as well as through the stunt training, and for those kicks. Now I can also see the connection of the club training that you're talking about, the strength training. And then earlier with when you were younger, you said that your teacher had said, look, this stuff is not going to make you strong now. It'll make you strong later. So no, so it's been a whole. So I'm seeing everything full circle from when you were younger till now. And you're speaking about the whole Persian warriors and stuff like that, and their training. Oh, that's absolutely cool. That's absolutely cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah,
so my question.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I do have like a black belt in Taekwondo. I was in the World Taekwondo Federation. And then my teacher, one of the guys, he was this Korean master that came in, and he was a very important figure in my life. The guy that really got me into the healing arts as well. And he was the head judge of the '88 Olympics in Korea. And so he was one of the guys that brought Taekwondo into like the Olympic style. So I'd done a lot of that, and I was the youngest guy that he ever gave a black belt to. And I was really devoted to him. I really loved that man. He was probably the most profoundly life-changing person in my life. But all of them were training under this crazy Persian guy. And so that kind of brought me into that. And the Persian system has this kicking ability that is like nothing I've ever seen. What it lacks in its martial practice, you want to be able to take what you can. Don't waste your time in these systems, right? And it's kind of like, even if you go into some of the weirdest, most esoteric stuff, there's always something you can pull out, but you just need a framework. And I was really lucky to have like my dad's mind. This special force. He was a special forces guy. He was in the first SEAL teams out of the Korean War, and then he was a bomb disposalman. So he was very systematic. Everything had to have a system, right? Because you don't just like willy-nilly a bomb, right? And especially if people are trying to hurt you in the process. So it's very much like, what's the goal? Can you do the goal? Now can you do it consistently? And then what you want to do is then you want to find the stress that breaks the goal, and then access that stress and slowly go to the stress. Don't let the stress come to you, right? And so that's always been my rule. Go to stress, don't let it come to you. Go to wisdom, don't let it come to you. Because those things hurt, you're being ambushed, it sucks. So always, seek those things. Yeah.
Awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So now my question is this, right?
Okay.
With this experience, right? With the
right.
strength training, right? With
Okay.
the strength training and your martial experience and stuff, right? Are those part of what you teach in your curriculum of the Yama system? So
yeah.
It is. Okay, so my question now, that's a brilliant segue for me now, getting into our second question, Matt. What is the Yama system?
Okay, so all of the training that I was doing, I noticed that there was a sequence that was happening. And I was training under all these masters, but also at the same time, I was touring in bands. So I was touring in rock bands, and I was always on the road. And so what I noticed was, instead of going to a class that was being led by these masters, and a lot of these masters were like, hey, this work, this Persian stuff, and all, it's gonna die. Like no one wants it. It's too hard. And, because this was at a time where it's like all about weight training, getting buff, and then the CrossFit came in, and this stuff's fine, but it doesn't have it. It's just a path to getting into the hospital, right? So I just kind of started putting together this system to where I could learn it and carry it with me. And so it was my sequence. I didn't make anything up, but it's my sequence, right? And it's a kind of bridging of the yoga and martial arts systems that I had learned. And that's what I started using in order to have my yoga, my martial arts, my conditioning, my fitness, everything in one sequence. And it's funny because like I was meditating a lot. I was always alone on the road. And when I actually originally started sequencing these things, just by feeling it out and the knowledge that I knew of being like a disciple and into martial arts my whole life, come to find out, like I almost sequenced it almost exactly as Krishnamacharya's sequence in his original, The Teacher of Ashtanga and Iyengar and stuff. And so it all made sense because I noticed every teacher that taught me when we were being led kind of had even though they thought they were winging it, no, it was very systematic all the time. And so that's what it became. And because it's like my greatest humiliation to myself, and if you ever want to see me judge myself, it would be the fact that I had this thing that I sort of created. But the only reason why I created it was because it was impossible to learn it again. And then come to find out, I'm sitting here learning history from songs, right? Which is how you learn the history of cultures before the written word. And then I'm going around learning Tai Chi forms, Bagua forms, I'm learning karate forms, Taekwondo forms, Kung Fu forms. And the reason why this Persian stuff and this yogic work wasn't being spread was because the song of movement is form, right? And so I was like, so I just put it together for me. And then I'm training in parks all over the country, and next thing you know, people are like, oh, I want to learn that. I want to learn that. Next thing you know, I'm teaching like dude from Jackie Chan team, and next thing you know, it's like you're limping your way from all this stunt work, and next thing you know, you train with this system like 2 times, and you're back to leading movies, and they're like, oh my God, this is amazing. So it was just sort of like people just kept coming. Yeah, that's how it worked. Yeah.
Right. All right. So, quite plainly, in my introduction, I should not have just said master teacher. I should have said master founder of the Yama system, because it truly is yours.
Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, I don't feel that. I'm just gonna say yeah from the most humble place I can, because I will say like it is. I think one of the few times that I don't feel I made anything up. Honestly, it all tells you what to do. Like if you move on a level that tells you what to do. But yeah, technically it's like, it's my thing. And it's the way that I was able to translate a bunch of work that I felt was being held really close to the vest by people that were trying to almost like keep power over their students by not really sharing a systematic approach. That's what I feel. So, but I don't think that way. I'm kind of punk rock. I was in punk rock bands and rock and, and I'm just like, no, man, this is like my best friend. And I'm training it 6 days a week, twice a day. Sorry, it's mine now. And that's the deal. So I learned to serve people the best, and people were like, we never practice, we can't practice. And I'm like, well, here's how you practice. And so I just started by sharing. Yeah, so that's it.
No, that's absolutely awesome. That's absolutely awesome. So seeing as how that quite plainly, it's a mix between your martial practice and your yogic practice as well, right? But I won't just say yoga. It's also the Persian arts in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't mind me asking, where did the name? I would believe, I'm not too sure, but with my prior knowledge, I know Yama sounds an Indian. Would that be a
the Yamas and the Niyamas. Yamas and Niyamas is kind of the way you express your practice out in the world. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Cool. Cool. Absolutely incredible, my sir. So let's go ahead and take it into that third question for you, right?
Okay.
Seeing as how Kung Fu is a term, it's a Cantonese term that means a skill acquired over time, right?
Yeah, work.
What, in your opinion, sir, is the hardest part of developing Kung Fu?
Showing up and not getting ahead of yourself. Where we like to see what's next, as opposed to dig deeper. And we always say one thing 1,000 times, not 1,000 things one time. But practicing that and taking that advice is really difficult, right? I would say the things that I struggle with whenever I teach people, and even with myself, was the humility behind just going and getting your butt kicked for a little while. Whether it's like for example, I just went off and did some push hands stuff. I don't understand push hands at all. It's the most impractical thing I've ever seen. People can defend it all they want, but I keep going back to it because I really, really, really do appreciate the subtlety, because it's all about subtlety. But the idea of a small guy like me and the people that I've faced that were so much larger, to even think that I should plant my feet is like the most ignorant, like, first rule of impact is move, period. So if their hands get on you, you need to be gone and you need to be moving. However, so that's where I need to humble myself. I need to walk into that weird idea. So it's like, how do you do the thing and just keep finding that subtle work. And then with the internal people, I think, because I work with all levels from elderly to children. I have students 3 years old, I have students 80 years old. And then I also work with like high level stunt people, I've worked with high level military, all these people. The internal people need to work out, period. Do your push-ups, do your sit-ups, because everything is external and everything is hard until it's internal and soft, period. Done. You're never going to do a Tai Chi form and not have your legs burning and be struggling to memorize it. Right? That's it. And so they need to work out, because that effortlessness will start happening with Kung Fu. And you need to do your squats, you need to do your push-ups, and you need to throw some heat, because when you can throw that heat, that smoothness looks beautiful, right? And then we just got done working with these jiu-jitsu guys and getting them to do qigong and the slow stuff and get rid of that ability, that need for game, was magic. So it's just look at the spectrum and just start asking yourself, okay, what part do I need to put down, and go to the other side and balance that out. And then the other thing that I would say is learn how to find the trajectory, right? Because there's so many great athletes that work so hard, they put themselves in the hospital, and martial arts in itself is a system of longevity. And so when you look at the heights that we're achieving physically, it's oftentimes because we have surgery. The other thing that I talk to people about is like when we're in this work and we're like, we kind of avoid these certain things. And so I think like when you're developing your Kung Fu, it's just learn to find that trajectory of knowing that this was created at a time where we needed our bodies to live a life, right? And so stop, like, you know, it's fine, get your knee surgery, whatever, play your high school football and, you know, get every joint replaced, that's fine. But know that, like, when we go slow and we work on that health and the stretching and all that other stuff, I mean, it's a game changer for us. So I'm always harping to people, like, rest, stretch, breathe, know that, train like you have something to do tomorrow, right? Like, you don't find a lot of those spec ops guys, like, they're not leaving it all on the mat, right? Because they might have to do something where their life's on the line later. Like, just train, know that this was for a life of effortlessness, right? And grace. Yeah, that's what I'd say is pretty difficult to kind of give, because people are like, I just want to work out. And you're like, cool, work out. But, you know, what I know with the body, when I watch people's movement, if you were to say, like, hey, what is that person really asking for with the way that they're moving? I'd be like, man, they want knee surgery more than anything in their life, right? And so that's why I love Tai Chi guys. You know, it's all about the details. You know, get into it.
Yeah, but at least most of us Tai Chi guys, we like to try and stay in alignment. You know, I try at least at all times to stay in alignment, because I mean, I joke about it all the time with my students. Hey, knees are expensive to replace. You know, they're really expensive. So I mean,
well,
you don't want to do that.
Yeah, one of the other things that I like to tell people is, like, yeah, these guys are great. Like, I know people that are crazy. I mean, I've worked with so many super athletes. Like, you're the only guy that can do this. But they wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for technology, right? They wouldn't have been able to do it if, like, we're achieving these great heights, and that's amazing. But also, like, there's something to be said about, like, not all of us need to be that physical anomaly. And also, imagine if we didn't have the ability to just replace knees. Would you have made it because your knee blew out when you were 19? So technically you would have just been there at 20, just sitting there limping around, right? And you know, so I'm really grateful for the fact that we have that type of work. However, you know, you can't just be a college athlete your whole life. I'm writing this new book right now, and I have what's called the keg party theory. You know, it's like when you were a kid, you went to keg parties and they were really fun, but now you're 40. No one wants to see a 40-year-old at the keg party. And what are you still trying to prove? Like, is your art taking you on a trajectory through your life? Or does it keep trying to throw you back at a keg party and you got to Krav Maga your way back into another busted lip, back into another, you know, it's like, no, if it's not bringing you through your life, then you might not be learning an art form. You're just learning a sport, and sports are cool too. They're part of being a great artist. You know, it's like, yeah, you want your athleticism and all that stuff, but, you know, just make sure that you can do this when you're old. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I stopped doing the stuff that I do, is because you can't be a super athlete your whole life. And so I'm grateful that I know an art form that allows me to learn bone setting and body work and myofascial release and all these other things. And, you know, so most of my work now is like healing arts work. And that was all from all the submissions and everything that I learned, right? You know, a submission fighter is just a really bad chiropractor, you know what I mean? And then over time, that's all it is, you know? Same energy. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's I need to run that back and, you know, just take that out as a quote right there from you.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Submission fighters are just a really bad chiropractor.
Yeah, you're just doing like you find your enemies and practice your chiropractic wrong. You know what I mean? Just get into it. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that train of thought right there, man. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, okay, so what I take from this question, what is the hardest part of developing one's Kung Fu? I hear consistency, and then on top of that, the, you know, wisdom to know when to stop.
Mm-hmm. And know when to move on, you know, know when to hold them, know when to fold them, right? It's like,
yeah,
you know, I mean, like I dislocated a hip on a job, and then I realized, like, I'm going to stop doing all this stuff. And then I just started roller skating, right? Because it strengthened all the right moves and it gave me better balance, right? And, you know, cross train. How many great martial artists go and do dance? Find something healthy that you can stay in motion. We don't need to constantly be receiving impact and damage, and you don't need to like fixate, because fixation creates stagnation and pain, right? So it's like constantly flowing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. You're here to live a life, right? So go live a life. Yeah.
That's absolutely awesome there, Matt. That's awesome. So let's go ahead and carry on with the next question, right? Because I'm eager to hear your answer for this one, man, right?
Okay.
How has your martial? You give me this look like, okay, what's happening?
Let's see. Yeah.
So here we go. How has your martial training helped or influenced your professional career, sir?
Well, it is my professional career. So my martial training. Initially, I wanted to be a chef. Right. Well, in 8th grade, I started touring in bands. I did my first tour in 8th grade. And then that was 1989. And then I needed to get out of the world that I was in. And so it was a little messed up. From age 11 to 13, it was pretty violent and crazy and chaotic. So then I decided to work in restaurants. And that martial practice, I mean, helps you just through knowing how to use both hands, right? You know, you want to be good in a restaurant, you got 2 hands, learn to use them, right? That's efficiency is efficient, inefficiency is inefficient. Martial arts teaches great efficiency. So that helped me. And it also helped me with communication and stuff like that. But then as I was touring though, I was training everywhere. And then next thing you know, I have students all over the country. And so come the, 97, 98, 99, I'm training people in every town I go into. I have people to train with. And then I get to the Bay Area and I met some stunt guys. Next thing I'm doing stunts and some other guys, and we're doing the MMA stuff and all that. And then I was able to meet a guy who was kind of old Jackie Chan guy, and then got him through some stuff. And then now I'm working with stunt people and was able to go into some pretty big shows. And next thing I'm doing stunts and working with my heroes, and that was really fun. I guess when I was on, I don't know if you ever saw the show, I trained the cast, a lot of the stunt people and a lot of the cast members for this TV show Into the Badlands. And so I trained all those guys, and was, in season 3, I was one of the core stunt guys. You can see, the trainer taught their fight camp, and then the actors, and I also do the body work. I did body work and stuff for the people in the show. And so I was in there, and then got to be the wellness guy for the last Matrix film, and got to go off and do some cool stuff. But on Into the Badlands, I was 42, you know what I mean? And it's like, to perform on that level in your 40s is rolling the dice, right? And so I decided to lean more towards writing, filmmaking, stuff like that. Yeah. So martial arts it brought me out of the kind of the sex, drugs, and rock and roll world, where I was just like a sober guy. Literally, I remember trying to sell as my merch at rock shows, like raw chocolates and medicinal mushroom blends. This was 20 years ago. And I'm trying to sell these things that are super hip right now. Do you have any idea how many people, by the way, nobody bought one thing ever, right? But now everyone's like, oh man, medicinal mushrooms, those things are, yeah, I know. The Chinese, it's been known for 2,000 years. Stop thinking this is new, right? And so it's that kind of been there, done that sort of rebel energy has always kind of annoyed people that I possess it. But, I learned from some great teachers, and they taught me some amazing things. And so as far as my professional career goes, it helped me fall, racing motorcycles and, jumping off things. It helped me get into television and film. It helped me meet my heroes. Thanks to Into the Badlands, I got to do the final thing on my bucket list. There was only one thing that I always wanted to do, which was tell the great Ernie Reyes Jr. thank you. And I remember I'm at a UFC event, and as me and a couple, we were sitting ringside, so we're just sitting there with the legends. And I remember Ernie sits next to me, and I finally got to tell him thank you, because he was a little older than me. And watching him on The Last Dragon and Red Sonja and Ninja Turtle, I mean, it was I literally wrote down bucket list thing, one day I just want to be able to look at Ernie Reyes Jr. and tell him thank you for all the inspiration. And I finally got to do that. So yeah, if it wasn't for this work, I wouldn't be able to do half the stuff I do. Yeah.
That's absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
Matt, can I just interject for a quick second? You and I have one thing in common on our bucket list, right?
What?
Because one of the most influential martial artists in my life growing up was Ernie Reyes Jr. And I'll tell you, it was in a show that he did on Disney Channel named
Sidekicks. Sidekicks. All the way. Oh, trust me, man. Yeah.
He was the last electric ninja.
Mm-hmm. Surf ninjas, all that stuff. Like I said, it's like to be able to tell the person that just made it all come together. Yeah. How old are you?
Me, I'm 42.
Okay. Yeah, I'm 48. So yeah, you're Year of the Dog. Right on. Yeah. And not only that, but so now if we fast forward to now, the thing that martial arts has done, so I took off, I shut my school down and I just decided I just wanted to kind of go in the woods and relax, right? So I did a cross-country trail where, in my Jeep Rubicon, and then I popped off and then I went and I realized I want to learn how to farm. I want to learn the basics of growing food and making soil because we're running out, right? So I was able to, if it wasn't for martial arts, so I was able to take this healing arts work and I went and met some farmers and said, hey, I can do this body work, this qigong, this posture training, stuff like that. And so I realized yeah, sure, I want to help people through healing arts, but the easiest way, again, efficiency is efficient, right? And if you don't want it, remember that quote in Grease, in the movie Grease, where they say, if you don't want to be an athlete, be an athletic supporter, right? And I don't want to be a farmer, but I want to be a farm supporter. So I offered this work to some farmers. And if you want to help 100 people, help a farmer, one farmer. That's it. If you want to hurt 100 people, help 100 people, because they're going to stay alive now and keep taking from farmers. And the farmers just work harder and they're not getting any help. So I just realized screw it, I'm going to take this work to farmers. So I've been on the big island of Hawaii, just kind of doing stuff. Yeah, it's been really cool learning a little bit about that. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. So really and truly, you describing your career, right? To me, that equals to, I'm sorry to just sum it up into 3 words, right? A career in movement, right? Because literally, that has been your career, moving, right? All movement, right? So would you say that your martial training has helped influence a career in movement?
Yeah, and not only that, but it's helped me. So especially now that I'm out working with more traditional people again, because in stunts and movies, we're just playing all the time, right? It's anything goes. If it works, do it. We're artists, right? So when I would go to other schools, the reason why I love the conditioning and the movement and the things that kind of no one else is really doing, it never made me have to go, well, we do it this way, you do it this. No, it just had me be cool, let's make, all I want to tell people is I just want to put a brain in every joint, and then I want to connect them all together and get them communicating with each other. That's it. And then after that, we start kind of looking at what our posture is carrying into the world. Yeah, you can study all the self-defense in the world, but if you don't have good posture, you look like food, period, right? And if your mind's not right and you're training it's coming out in your posture. So if I can just teach good communication and good movement, there you go. In every school that I go into, I never have to battle it with them. We just play. So when I go into schools, if it wasn't for this Yama work where I just get to go in and be cool, now let's stretch out and feel good together. And then and it also teaches you how to be mobile and I guess capable enough to just learn and steal and play. And that's done wonders for not only my professional relationship, but my community. I've developed this community of people. I'm out here touring right now, teaching, and I get to meet people that have been following my work, and I get to work with them in real time, and they know this, and it's almost I'm almost in tears when I'm working with them. It's crazy. Yeah. So movement is great, but movement with grounded, get rid of that weird spectacle-based stuff. It's not about vanity. Work out, you'll look good. Stop working out to look good. Just work out. You know what I mean? Stop with that low-level, it's that's what we use to get people in the door. And it's no, be better, man. Just fucking make good choices. Yeah, so that's what I love. I love sharing that so much. Yeah.
That's absolutely incredible, my friend. So, going into another question, right? The fifth question for you. And if you could teach the new generation of martial artists only one thing, it could be technique or it could be philosophy, what would it be, man?
I would say, all right, this is what I would teach, because it's the one thing that I'd see is rarely taught. We have to market ourselves, so we got to double down on an idea, right? I need to know what shelf to put you on. So what I would teach is an awareness of this. There's traditional art, and then there's the tradition of art. And I would teach you how to discern between the two. A traditional art is a time capsule, right? It's Tai Chi, it's karate, right? It's telling me of a time. It's classical music, it's Mozart. But what we have to understand is Jimi Hendrix used the tradition of art to use the same tools that Mozart was using to communicate who he is today, right? And there's no right, there's no wrong. And when I go into these traditional schools, everyone will talk about, they're always like, but you gotta learn the tradition. Yes, you should always learn your fundamentals. You should learn, I was a classical musician and then I moved into punk rock. But I practiced the traditional art to learn how to, and be brave enough and strong enough and to be able to communicate who I am today. And if you don't do that, your art dies. You become some weird medieval times that is highly irrelevant. Like, just ask the British redcoats how good they would do on a battlefield today, right? So that's what I love pushing people to understand. The idea is, if you can't walk with it into your life, it doesn't exist yet, right? And if you are, and you got to find your voice, you bring yourself to enlightenment, right? So if you can't bring it into, it's like, okay, sure, yeah, you're fine. You're in the temple, you're doing your thing, but can you bring that peace into your life today? So what is the tradition of art? Where is your voice? And so much of my teaching now is what we call view training. Where are you in all this? Are you just standing there it's like people ask me, do I know these words? I don't know, man. I don't speak Chinese and I don't speak Farsi. I just name everything what the hell I wanted to name. And when you understand that, you'll realize that your magical art was created by a person with a lot of time on their hands. You know what I mean? That's it. God didn't that didn't happen. And all of these traditions, the amount of times that I've stood in front of someone where they've spoken so righteously about their traditional art, I always say, if you keep talking like that, you have to remind, you're talking like there's never been a healthy person until Americans made it over to, or until this, it's like, no, there's been health and all these things. And so, yeah, if I could teach anything, it would be explore the traditions and then know the tradition of it to actually be able to take that work into your life. And that's, I think, is a lost art right now.
There's a word that I believe you stopped short of calling yourself earlier, but I will bring it back into play right now, Matt. Profound. You said you aren't profound. That might be true, but what you said is very profound, sir, and it shows and it speaks to your humbleness. It really truly does. Because when you think about it, right, as I'm thinking about what I just heard, right, it's true. People need to understand tradition and the tradition of, right? Those are two very distinct things, and I totally agree with you. Hats off. Thank you. I have not heard one person word it in such a way, and that's great. I love it. Thank you very much, man. Thank you for enlightening me. No, serious. That's a great. That's like a golden nugget right there. And if there's any part of this interview that's going to be on a YouTube short, it'll probably be that part.
Well, and I've run into so many people where they're like, I wanted to learn Tai Chi. It's like, I used to teach at this one spot, and then afterwards these Tai Chi people would come in and they'd say, hey man, we love your work, and why don't you train with us? I go, I will when you smile. Walk in one day and smile. You guys are too serious. You're taking it. And then this one guy, they were weirded out on the way that I goof off with everything. I play with everything, and they were like, why? And I go, look, to you just started this. right? This was like 4 or 5 years old. This was the thing that got me through the hardest times in my life, right? Up through when I was 40, 45, I'm 48. I mean, this has gotten me through some crazy times. I go, to you, it's a parent. To me, it's my best friend. And I play with my best friends all the time, right? So so the day it becomes your friend, you're gonna smile, and then I wanna learn from you, right? But I don't need to learn from some weird uptight person that is like afraid to take off their, like, because people ask, when you look at my videos, you'll notice I'm always wearing jeans and stuff, and I don't dress up, and because my dad would always say, look, the tiger doesn't put on tiger clothes to be a tiger. Like, you're a tiger, dude. Just like whatever you're wearing, just that's what you work in, and so that's what I do. And I don't, because like the gi, right, is it the kimono? That's what's the clothes back then. The kung fu outfit, that was called clothes, and you wore black or white because that was the cheapest fabrics. Right? So I just say, find cheap fabrics that you can move in, that you're not worried about getting dirty, and work out. Doesn't have to go, you don't have to overthink this stuff. But that's the tradition of, right? And so, so I'm very particular about, I love to go in and learn as much as possible, but I do think that we should turn this into our friend, right? Yeah.
Great answer. Great answer. Once again, I'll say it. Profound answer. Truly profound. Truly profound.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Spend a lot of time alone.
But you know what's funny? I think all martial artists can say that. At some point, we all spend quite a lot of time alone. In our thoughts, alone in our practice. At least those of us who are true martial artists, who really truly love our craft. Sometimes we don't want to work with anybody. We just want to work by ourselves. I find I'm kind of reclusive like that. So I find that's when some of my best work is actually done, when I'm completely, that's when light bulbs start going off, like, oh, okay, probably if I move like this, or if I put if I position myself that way, I find experimenting that much more, more results happen when I'm by myself. So let's go ahead and take it into the last question for you, Matt, right? Which is, I always say, the hardest question. How can you be contacted?
Ooh. TheYamaSystem.com. TheYama System. SYSTEM.com. And go there. And I'm just starting some lifetime memberships. I have a couple hundred videos up there, and I've been making content ever since I was on kind of into the Badlands time, and around that time I just started, I was being flown around, and I remember there was this one week where I was just in like 5 places in like 8 days or something like that, and then just training people. And so I just started putting little ways to practice and stuff up online. And when COVID hit, I turned it into a kind of an online, I've made it public. And then, so I train people there, but I also do a lot of online work. I teach journaling, right? I helped some police officers during COVID, and I got to work with police unions and stuff, going through that, doing rapport building, understanding the different lenses that you carry. So I teach online journaling, mindset training, and self healing and all those things. And then I have my online platform, so theyamasystem.com. And and by the way, I'd say this to everyone, I do little free phone calls for everybody, because you guys, no one knows me. You guys don't know who I am. I've done a good job of staying in the shadows. And so call me, we can change lives. It's not a sales call either. I just love meeting people. So when you go there, click on the 15-minute call and find me wherever I am in the world, and let's do this. Yeah.
All right. That is cool. So information for Matt Lucas and the Yama System will be in the description down below. Also in the description down below will be a link for Feiyue shoes. If you need a pair of Feiyue shoes, go ahead and click the link down below. Get the best prices, get the best deals, all at Feiyue shoes. Matt Lucas, I want to thank you very much for the time that you have spent with me here, telling me all about the Yama System and your experiences through your life. It has been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.